Welcome to Ordo Militaris Catholicus' live question and answer for the 4th anniversary of the martyrdom of Father Jacques Harmel. This is coming to you live from Rome, Italy. And hello AJ, how are you? And we'll wait a few moments for those interested to log on. This session will be in the English language. I hablo poco español, and I am not able to speak in Spanish. But it's to give you an opportunity to ask all those questions you've always had about Ordo Militaris Catholicus, whether you are a member of our order or whether you have just seen us on social media or known of us in the last 4 years and would like to know something more. Human contact is always very useful, and this is a chance for all you guys out there to ask. If you're veterans or in the military and want to speak with the president of Ordo Militaris Catholicus, the corporation out of Montana, the private military corporation, I am he. And or whether you're just interested in becoming a member of our religious association, Ordo Militaris Catholicus, on how you could support. Okay. So one more minute, and before I begin my presentation, just as to get your mind jarred, so you can start asking questions, because it's mostly about questions, not anything else. So it is now noon, New York time, and my name is Brother Alexis Buñuel. I am the president of Ordo Militaris Inc., the Montana private military corporation. Founded originally in Wyoming in August 29th, 2016, following the martyrdom of Father Jacques Harmel. That was 4 years ago, and today is the 4th anniversary of the martyrdom of Father Jacques. The religious association known as Ordo Militaris Catholicus was begun with an inspiration on August 1st, 2016, and we went on Twitter on August 3rd. I know we went on WordPress on August 3rd as a blog. I think around the 13th we went on Twitter, and we incorporated the corporation, set up our website at the end of the month. First, something about what we are, who we are. So, the martyrdom of Father Jacques Harmel, his murder at the altar during Catholic services at 9 in the morning on the 26th of July in 2016, was something that shocked the whole Catholic world. It shocked all of Western Europe. Priests being murdered by jihadis was something you heard of in Iraq or Syria or maybe in Nigeria, but not in northern France, in Normandy. Considering these things over, I prayed to our Lord Jesus Christ, and I believe he inspired me to respond by doing what he has always recommended. Ask, you shall receive. Seek, you shall find. Knock, and it shall be open to you. Now, our Lord has given us, Christians in the world, there's 1.6 billion of us, certainly enough wealth, enough manpower, enough talent, and enough skills to defend ourselves. Okay? So if priests or Christian ministers are being murdered, if Christian communities are being genocide, burnt down, if Christians are being enslaved or raped by any of our enemies who hate us for the name of Christ, when we pray to God for help, yes, we need the help of God, but we also need to do something of ourselves, because he's given us the means to help ourselves. And if we don't use that, our prayers to him are in vain. Yes, we pray to God for inspiration on how to do things aright, but we need to do something. We can't just lament about it. And the mainstream media and the Western governments want you to lament about it and do nothing, because international Freemasonry is allied with radical Islam for the destruction of Christians everywhere. And you can throw Marxists in there too. So AJ Bauman, who is a physical descendant of Charlemagne, and myself founded Ordo Militaris Catholicus, the Ordo Militaris Inc. And this is as a religious association, we have no legal standing, okay? And anyone can be a member of our religious association. We ask that you share in praying for the members of the association and for the work we do. But to become a member, you show your membership by making a monthly pledge currently to our PMC in North America. And once your pledges equal $1,000, you can actually request a share of stock from the corporation. Once we have PMCs in other parts of the world, your pledge will go to whatever part of the world you happen to live in. So that's the religious association. You might kind of call it like a booster club in a secular sort of way. But our North American corporation, Ordo Militaris, Inc., is organized to promote the security and defense of Christians, and by means of investments. Okay, so our corporation is authorized to sell as much stock as we notify the Secretary of State of Montana to do, and we currently have authorization for $5 million worth of shares for capital acquisitions in North America, in the United States, and $5 million worth of shares for capital investments overseas. And our basic plan is twofold. In the United States, to start a training camp where volunteers who are American citizens and who would like to start a career in security and defense and start with us would get a 16-week course for free in exchange for 2 years of voluntary service with our PMC, in which they would get continuing education about security services and would serve with us in the United States or be free to serve with chapters of our order in other parts of the world. They would have to be of good health, they have to be willing, they have to be physically able and psychologically able, and you have to understand that you could risk life and limb, dismemberment, or death in our service. Finishing the 4-week course, if you pass it, then you would serve with us for 2 years. If you do not pass it, then you would not serve for us 2 years, and you would be obligated to remunerate us for your training. Okay. So that's how the PMC would work in North America. And then immediately what we would do in North America with the educated class, with the graduating class, is we'd found security companies in different parts of the United States where our men would serve defending clients in the United States for as much time as is necessary before we can arrange our affairs in other parts of the world. So if we have a training camp in North America, it would lead to the foundation of security companies throughout the United States. And the revenue we generate from that would go to start founding security companies in other parts of the world. So our strategy overseas would be to found security companies which would operate according to the laws of those nations, but serve as stepping stones for members of our order who want to volunteer in different parts of the world and offer the services. So each security company in each country would notify members of the order around the world for job openings, opportunities for serving in military security positions with us. And then our members of our order, as either obligated because they trained with us or volunteered with us, would then serve in whatever operations we'd be undertaking in those different countries. And this is all perfectly legal. That's the way modern PMCs do. We do not intend to receive government contracts because we intend to act independent from the Masonic world order solely for the defense of Christians, primarily so. That doesn't mean that if in a village there are some Muslims, we wouldn't protect them too, okay? But we're organized to defend Christians who are persecuted for Christians. We are a defensive organization. We're not about conquering Jerusalem or conquering territories. And a large part of the services we can offer overseas will not be offered by the North American corporation because we would need permission to use government from that, and that would tangle us up in all kinds of politics of the Secretary of State, but would be offered by foreign companies founded by our members who, with their investments, found security companies in countries where they have permission of those governments to operate and where those governments are very glad to have the cooperation of any group that's opposed to terrorism. And that's basically our domestic plan for the United States and our international plan as a religious association. So the plan in the United States would be executed by our Montana corporation, and our plan for the world would be executed by our religious association. They're two different things, and we make those distinctions. So our members of our religious association would be founding other corporations around the world, which would be independent of our North American corporation. It might be that these corporations invest in one another or collaborate in humanitarian efforts like feeding starving populations or clothing, housing, or receiving or housing or guarding refugees and things like that, or assisting with all kinds of manners of negotiations, acquisition of military equipment, or maybe signing agreements in one nation, like in the United States, for a U.S. nonprofit that's working in Africa needs security there, so that our chapter in Africa would actually provide the security and defense, and the American corporation would give a grant to the charity to pay the fee of the African corporation. So that's how it would work. So I see that there's 5 of you out there. Ask your questions. I'll answer the first question from Ordo Militaris Radio TV. That's A.J. Bauman, the co-founder of the company and the association. Should we do some sort of reach out on social media or blog post to those in Armenia? Not sure what, though. They're asking during our show. So, as you may know, Armenia is in imminent threat of being attacked by Azerbaijan and perhaps Turkey in a war where they have few allies. Armenia is a devoutly and ancient Christian people. They're the first people as a kingdom to convert to the Christian faith, and they have been loyal to Christ for 17 centuries. So they obviously are being encroached on because Turkey and Azerbaijan are Muslim nations, and they do not want any Christian nation bordering them. And the land of which is in dispute has belonged to the Armenian people for 3,000 years. And neither the Turks nor the Azerbaijans are natives to that land. They're both from Central Asia, and they don't belong there. They are intruders. And they have acquired the lands they have acquired by murdering innocent Christians who used to dwell in those lands. So this is a prime case or example of where our order could help out if we have the investment from whoever is willing to help us help the Armenian people. We would found a security company in Armenia and offer our services to the Armenian military, whether that's raising a foreign legion or opening up a hospital or refugee camps. We could do any number of things, but we can't do it without substantial assistance, and we do not yet have that level of assistance, though we have that willingness. So we could say something on social media about it, other than we say, if you want to help us help the Armenians, but we can't formulate a specific plan right now. It's not like we have an office in Armenia and we could ask for help. I haven't even spoken to the Armenian ambassador here in Rome, so it's an idea of something we could do, but it's not yet practical unless we get some. We build up our own organization first. There's 4 others of you out there now. There's 6 other you out there. Ask a question. To ask a question, you can tweet to Militaris Cath, MILITARISCATH on Twitter. You can call our offices at 1-406-299-9260 using a Skype. That call is free from anywhere in the world. 1-406-299-9260. You'll see the number in the notes on the YouTube page for this video. Or you can go to the chat box adjacent to this video and put a message there, and I'll immediately see it on the app I'm using and can respond. So those are the 3 ways you can ask a question, and that's what this is all for. It's just question and answers. So ask your questions. Don't be shy. No point listening and not asking a question, okay? I'm sure everyone has a question. So, for example, I got a question last night. How is it that you're a Catholic order and admit as members who are not Catholics, okay? So in the Catholic Church, an order usually refers to a religious order in the sense of an organization designed specifically for religious purposes and therefore admitting only Catholics. But we're not a religious order, we're a military order. And because we are a military order and our purpose is not the promotion of the Catholic faith, It is the defense of Christians who are being persecuted. And since any human being who learns how to use a gun and is trained to do it can assist us in that, we allow not even non-Catholics to be members of our order and to support us either financially or as volunteers or as investors. The understanding, however, being that the order is governed by Catholics and will always uphold Catholic ethics in war and in all other things. We are not a political organization. We are just about providing security and defense, although we allow our members the freedom to express themselves in matters of politics. So that was to answer Nate's question on Twitter from yesterday. If you have a question, ask a question. There's no point in you sitting here and just listening to me. Ask a question, because if you want more information about our order, you can go to Ordo Militaris. Maybe AJ, you can write out our URLs and put it in the chat box so people can see. And it's ordo-militaris.us is our corporate site in North America. And then it's ordo-militaris.net, which is our radio TV apostolate to educate our followers, listeners, and social media and help them understand how much it's important to defend Christians everywhere. Matter of fact, every Monday, AJ and I do a program on terrorism within the last week around the world. I see that there's now 9 of you, so ask a question. That's what this is for. You can ask a question via Twitter by tweeting to MILITARISCATH. That's Militaris Cath, and you probably know us on Twitter if you're here. Or you can call our offices in North America using Skype for free, 1-406-299-9260, and it will ring on my tablet right here, although I am currently in Rome. Or you can leave a message in the chat box of this video on the YouTube page where it is currently being broadcast. And if you're watching this through a Twitter box, just click on the YouTube symbol on this video and go to the YouTube page where you can watch this just as equally well, or perhaps better than on Twitter, live, and therefore in the chat box there you can see the other questions people are writing there. So if you have a question, answer. This program is going to be in English. We did one in Italian earlier today, and I answered everything there in Italian, so there's no need for me to speak anymore in Italian. Questa sessione sarà in inglese, non in italiano. Quella nella mattinata era pienamente in italiano, quindi avendo risposto a tutte le domande là in modo sufficiente, non c'è motivo che parlo italiano durante questa. That's all I will say in Italian for the Italians. So, English-speaking world, this is for you. Our count has been silent for a year, but now we're back live, and that's because Twitter will probably shut us down in a few weeks because they're run by Marxists. But so this is your chance to get and talk with us. I know there's lots of people who contacted us on Twitter and social media in the last year, wondering where we are. Well, here we are. We're live, so this is your chance. Yes, if there's any English speakers, ask the questions, okay? Because I'm not going to respond in Italian. Non risponderò proprio in italiano durante questa sessione perché già ho fatto questa mattinata. Okay, this is an English program, Michael O'Hearn, so if you know English, which your name seems to indicate, and ask a question in English. You don't have to speak to me in Italian. This is our session for English speakers. That's why it's at noon, New York time. Today is the feast of Father Jacques Harmel, and may he watch over us and bless our undertakings. So if you have questions, ask your question. No, Lisa Polanski asks, in the United States, would you just be training people to be in reserves? No. As I mentioned a few moments ago, perhaps you weren't present, our North American corporation, Ordo Militaris, Inc., has the business plan to found a training camp in the United States for U.S. citizens, where young men who would like to start a career in security and defense and do it with us, and or U.S. veterans who would like to become a member of our PMC, would train together for 16 weeks, and upon completion, serve with us as volunteers for 2 years with our PMC. We would found security companies in the United States would provide close support, security, armed security in different parts of the country, and we'd use the revenue generated from that business to found private security companies around the world, an international network, where those who have trained with us in the United States could also serve if they so choose at their discretion, and where there's a need and where those PMCs seek qualified individuals. We would be like in North America, our organization would be kind of like a military university, and it would train people in the martial arts, in close combat, small group combat, individual and small group tactics, and all the other basic skills like for special ops would get training for land and water, and to think on their feet. So it would be special emphasis on teaching soldiers to think on their own, because in our organization then we would never have the kind of tight command control system that modern militaries have. So our men would be trained to actually be in security and defense positions and not to be in the reserves, not in the reserves of the United States. Although, if we get sufficient funding to build a large enough training camp, we may at times run courses for the state police or the National Guard or even for the U.S. government if they need training facilities and they want to lease them from us for a time, because that could provide us with sufficient income. But other than that, we would be offering courses perhaps to the general public. It seems that law and order is breaking down in the United States, so it's very important for civilians to learn how to fight in small groups, to assist their local police, their National Guard, or their state police put down wide-scale rebellion or mayhem, and that's becoming more necessary. We told everyone about that 2 years ago, and we said, invest with us now so we can start training civilians, because this kind of thing is going to come to America. No one believed us, and here we are. We were right. And yet we have not yet received the investment necessary to do anything. I'm looking at a beautiful piece of land in Montana. It's like 54 square miles, and it's only $3 million. If someone can invest $3 million with us, I'll snap it up off the market, because that's we need a large area to do military combat with live fire, because you don't want the bullets going over to your neighbor's property. And 50 square miles would be a wonderful training ground for us, for multiple different kinds of terrain and different activities for our men, like outdoor survival and cross-country and dead reckoning and things like that. So, but we need investment. So we're offering $5 million worth of shares in our Y series stock. You can go to ordo-militaris.us, our investment page, and click on the Y stock issue to get a prospectus and read more about it. And we'd use that money to buy the property and build buildings and support structures on it. It's not going to be used to, buy a plane or stay at restaurants or any of those kind of expenses. It's our members of our religious association who make monthly pledges to us of small amounts of money that we use that for our expenses. Lisa Polanski, you ask again, in other words, what kinds of things would they do in the U.S.? So once trained in the U.S., they would serve in our security company. We found a security company for that. So whether a ranch needs to be guarded, or an oil facility, or a bank, or whether a mayor needs to augment immediately his police forces and is looking for a private security company to do it, like to guard City Hall, or maybe to guard the houses of the councilors of a city when mayhem breaks out, or maybe to guard factories or refineries, or money, or banks, or money transfers of any kind, or anything what a normal security forces do or could do. That's what we would do in the United States, because there is in the United States supposed to be law and order, an army, a National Guard, state police, and local police, which are supposed to be doing their duty. And as a private corporation, we must only act and can only act where those authorities permit us to act. So that's what we would do in the United States. Michael O'Hearn, is it true that Iranians are converting to Christianity because of the fake quarantine? I don't know, Michael, but this session is about Ordo Militaris Catholicus. I'm not going to answer other questions that I would do in my other capacities. Would women have any virtual role to assist in ornament towns? Yes. How can women assist or participate in Ordo Militaris Catholicus? Well, there are the members of our religious association, men and women, who make a monthly pledge, and a woman can do that. As volunteers, we might need certain volunteers. For example, if we get enough women interested in serving with us in security and defense, we would train them separately in a course by themselves, because there are many places in the world, like guarding convents or refugee camps of women, where women's security forces in other parts of the world would be very welcome and able to do things that a male security force cannot do, like guard women and children and assist to them in that kind of specific need where they would feel threatened by men and would be threatened by men, because in many refugee camps of the world, the male security teams end up raping the women and the children. So women can serve with us and would serve with us. We need a sufficient number to do anything. But for example, in our military base, it might be that, you know, we have women doctors or cooks or other first personnel like secretaries or staff or advisors in non-direct roles until, you know, because there's not really that many women who want to go into active combat. Some there are, but women can serve us. But also in security companies, they could serve in management roles, accounting, financing, anything like business, publicity. You know, there's all kinds of things in security, contracting, that women can do just as well as men. So yes, women can have a role in Ordo Militaris. Roma Desde Cielo asks, how do you see the church in 10 years? That is not a question, Roma, that I'm going to answer here. This session is about Ordo Militaris Catholicus. I am not responding as editor from Rome.info or even as Brother Alexis. I'm responding in my official capacity as president of Ordo Militaris, Inc. I cannot answer any question about Benedict XVI. I'm sorry, not in this session. That's not what this is for. This is about Ordo Militaris Catholicus, our military religious association. So let's see, there's a question via Twitter from Astrid Maria. Would you please explain that Catholic teaching allows for the armed defense of persons and property, and exactly what is meant is turn the other cheek? Okay. So Catholic teaching, or Christian teaching, requires us to defend the innocent, the poor, and the disadvantaged when threatened unjustly. Okay. Or even when threatened by any incalumnity of nature, okay? Because that's a work of mercy, and Christ taught that in the parable of the Samaritan and going down the way and seeing the man beaten up on the road to Arabia. And it's kind of a prophetic parable. It talks about how we should help whoever is injured and suffering and has been a victim of crime, and terrorism is a crime. But on the road to Arabia, on Jericho is the road to Arabia, indicating, I think our Lord in the future saw Islamic terrorism coming from there. So we have the right to self-defense, and we have the duty to defend the weak and innocent, and we have even more the duty to defend fellow Christians, because our brothers and sisters in faith, according to the old adage, charity begins at home. So the house of Christ, we should have the heart open to defend Christians wherever they are around the world. I don't know what more I could say. You'd have to be more specific about right to bear arms. Roma de Desde, I'm not going to take any questions about that topic, because this is about Ordo Militaris Catholicus. And so I have to say that I'm just not going to answer that question. This is about our military association. Today is the 4th anniversary of our founding. And so that's what we're about here. So I will not answer that question. I ask you please to stop asking questions of that kind here during this session. If you have a question like that, you can go to my electronic newspaper from Rome.info and ask there. I see there's 14 of you, so please ask questions. This is a session about Ordo Militaris Catholicus, the international association of Catholics dedicated to the security and defense of Christians persecuted in hatred of the faith and hatred of the name of Jesus. And it's also a session where you could ask questions about Ordo Militaris, Inc., the Montana private military corporation, which is dedicated to promoting the security and defense of Christians around the world through investments, training, and publicity. Veronica Rose. No, the order has no intention to offer courses in history or religion for participants. However, to train our men, we will train them as Catholics and Christians. And so, yes, we will teach them, for example, we will give the men a short course on the history of the Crusades and a basic catechism, and certainly something about military ethics and how to comport yourself as a man, okay, and how to practice self-discipline so that in battle you act in an honorable and upright way. But not general courses to the public, no. And we would have, for example, a chapel on our base and a chaplain and regular services for the men, because we do believe that a Christian soldier should do what he does for the love of Jesus Christ and be properly instructed in that. But those courses in the Catholic faith would not be obligatory to our members who are not Catholics. Any other question? Ask a question. You can ask a question by tweeting to Militaris Cath on Twitter, MILITARISCATH, or by calling our offices on Skype in North America at 1-406-299-9260. And that call on Skype is free. It will ring here on my tablet and you can talk to me live. Or you can go to the chat box of this video and on YouTube page and type out a question there and I'll answer it. So Michael O'Hearn asks, will the order help defend Palestinian Christians exiled in Syria? Michael Hearn, currently a North American corporation cannot act in Syria due to the restrictions that the U.S. government has placed on all U.S. corporations collaborating with the Syrian government. But members of our order who would, if there are ever be members of our order, for example, in Lebanon or in Syria or in Jordan, they certainly can found a corporation that can help Christians everywhere. But we would help Christians because they're being persecuted as Christians. We have no intention to get ourselves involved in the internecine war between Israel and the Palestinian state and the Palestinian people. That is not our affair, and we're not organized to have anything to do about that. Ordo Militaris Radio TV asks, would we also allow Orthodox? Yes, we'd allow Orthodox to participate in our training courses and organization. Veronica Rose, well, if you're a history professor, that would be great. Great. And nowadays with telematics, you don't even have to be on the base to teach the course. But that would be great to give a course on the Crusades to our men, because in the evening, after a long day of training, they are going to be sitting around, and we're not going to let them watch television. They might be allowed to watch some war pictures, but that's an excellent time for them to get a course and to unlearn a lot of the lies they've learned and prepare themselves intellectually to know how to comport themselves as a Christian soldier. A course in the Crusades would be excellent. Alessandra Marigliano, non posso rispondere in italiano perché questa sessione è in inglese, ma rispondo in inglese. Alessandra Marigliano asks, what's the difference between Ordo Militaris Catholicus and the Knights of the Holy Sepulchre? The Knights of the Holy Sepulchre were founded to defend the Holy Sepulchre. And the order today funds the repair, restoration, and legal interests of Catholic churches in Palestine. We are not dedicated or organized to do anything in Palestine or Israel or in the Holy Land because that's not what we're organized to do, and there's a terrible conflict going over there. And so we're not, as an organization, we don't have anything to do with going on there. There's a lot of organizations already that do things there. And so we differ in that way. The Knights of the Holy Sepulchre are instituted by the Vatican. They're recognized by the Vatican. They are a religious order. We do not seek church recognition, approval, or authorization for what we do. We do it for the love of Christ, yes, and we do it as Catholics, yes, but we do it within under the authority of civil governments who have authority in these matters. Voi italiani non risponderò in italiano a qualsiasi domanda. Questa sessione per inglese già risposto in italiano pienamente e questa mattinata nella previa video. E non rispondere a qualsiasi domanda che ha di fare con un altro argomento. Questa sessione è per il Ordo Militaris Catholicus e non altri argomenti, mi dispiace di dire. Veronica, when the time comes, let us know. But there's no point sending it to it now because where would I put it? We don't even. Our corporation doesn't even own a filing cabinet. Our entire corporate records fits in a box that's like that big. So if you send it to me, what would I do? By the time I used it, it'd probably no longer be legible. Okay. Cosimo, I'm not answering questions about any other topic. This is about Ordo Militaris Catholicus. Please understand that, and please respect the topic that we're doing in. Okay, Lisa Polanski asks, what ages could join for training? Now would be a good time since many Catholic schools are closed or closing. In U.S. law, they have to be 18 years old, and we would only accept them if they're capable of, we would only accept high school graduates, okay? But they have to be 18 years old and be able to read and write, and they have to be in good health, excellent health, not in the sense of already athletic, but capable of becoming. They can't be overweight or have chronic health problems of any kind or psychological problems of any kind. And they have to be straight, okay? Those are our basic requirements. We would hope that they be Catholics or Christians, but they don't have to even be that. They have to be willing to fight with us and serve to defend Christians, however. So that's the age thing, but we don't yet have a training camp, so this is like a theoretical question. If you have a question, ask by tweeting to MILITARIS CATH, C-A-T-H, on Twitter. That's the ampersand sign before that. Or calling our offices on Skype at 1 + 1 406 299 9260, and it will, and even though that number is in Helena, Montana, it will ring on my tablet here in Rome because I'm doing this live from the city of Rome in Italy. Or you can go to the chat box of this video on YouTube and ask a question there. So if you have a question, ask. This session is only for English language, although if you ask in Spanish, I will respond in English as much as I can read your Spanish. And for you Italians, I've answered all those questions this morning in the earlier session. So go to the previous video and session 1, and that was all in Italian, since only Italians I showed. Okay, there's 15 of you, so ask a question, okay? Thank you, AJ, for tweeting that out. Grazie tanto, Lorena. Okay, so any other questions? Do you have other questions? Let me talk about investments, okay? What's going on in America with Black Lives Matter and Antifa, if you haven't noticed, and I'm sure you have in the last 7 weeks, is that all of corporate America came out and has supported insurrection, lawlessness, terrorism, and chaos, while the government in many cities is standing by and doing nothing. If you are the kind of American who has investments in stock companies, you find out whether your company or not is in favor of Black Lives Matter. And if they are, I highly recommend that you divest completely from those companies in your portfolio. And then with that capital, I would humbly suggest, although my opinion is prejudicial, as president of Ordo Militaris Montana, that you buy stock in our company so that we can build a training base and train American youth to defend Christians from persecution, defend churches, ministers, communities against persecution from whoever hates us, whether they be Muslim, whether they be Marxist, whether they be pagan, from whoever. And we need to do this right away, and this is an excellent time to do it. Pull your investments from these corporations are supporting Black Lives Matter and invest in a company like Ordo Militaris. I think we're the only company in the world dedicated to this. It's perfectly legal what we're doing. We're authorized by the state of Montana. We follow all laws and regulations. So I think it's the best. The best investment is defense, because you can put your money in a corporation, but if they're making the profit they make, they're using to fund groups that will murder you and destroy you. That's not a good investment. Okay, so I would advise you divesting of those companies and considering investing with our corporation, Ordo Militaris Inc., at our website, ORDO-MILITARIS. Militaris is spelled like military, but you drop the Y and add is. .us. You can go to our investment page and go to our Y series stock issues if you want to help us build a training facility in the United States. And there's $5 million worth of stock there that's being offered, and there you can download a prospectus and read all about it and make an informed decision. Okay, so if you have any other questions, ask away. I encourage everyone who knows something about our order to let everyone else know about it. Share this video on social media, share our tweets, share pages from our website, and help everyone understand that we, as private citizens and Christians, need to start organizing our own defense, or we're going to be exterminated and persecuted, and many innocent people will die, because those of us who are able to organize the defense and have the money to do it don't do it now. Okay, we said 2 years ago, when all the things broke out at Charlottesville, Virginia, it has to be done, but no one heard us out. And Twitter has terribly persecuted us over the years, and so has Facebook and all the other social media, to prevent us from getting the message out, because they're all controlled by the Marxists. And this video channel and our Twitter page might disappear tomorrow because of the persecutions that bad. So what you're hearing now is really rare message. Our website has never gone down, thanks be to God. But at any moment, these things can happen. We always try to fight back and put them up, because the co-founder AJ and myself were indomitable. But this is how strong the opposition is. However, we can turn the tide on that by organizing Christians to defend themselves. Okay, and that most Christians who want to defend themselves has basic training on how to shoot a pistol, but they don't have any kind of training on how to fight against a mob or defense a neighborhood against a mob. Okay, they don't know how. They haven't done it at all, so they need to be trained if they're going to be able to work when necessary, when there's no law and order, or when it requested by the local sheriff or police who need auxiliary help if mayhem gets worse. And mayhem will get worse, because whether Trump is reelected or Biden is elected, all chaos is going to break out in November. And the left wants to exterminate 1/6 of the population of the United States, and they're not going to do it in Democratic cities. They're going to do it in Republican states. So we have to organize our defense quickly and immediately. And I've been telling people this for 4 years. Listen, okay, act. Pull your investments out, invest with us. I humbly suggest you invest with us, though you must make an informed decision, so that we can begin helping Americans defend themselves, okay, helping Christians defend themselves. Because if America falls, then we're going to move our organizations outside of America. If Americans don't want to defend themselves, then what can be said? You're not a free people. So I'm an American citizen. I was born and raised in America, but after 4 years of asking people, my patience is a bit tried. You can see now the cities are burning. So now if you don't do anything, I don't know, you're not living in reality. So wake up, smell the coffee, prepare yourself before they come to the door and drag you away. Okay. Veronica, if I'm persecuted in Italy, I cannot respond, would I do, because there are lots of people who want to know, would I do, so they could prevent me from doing it. So plans of that sort are never publicized, as you might know. If you have a question, ask a question via Twitter by tweeting to Militaris Cath, MILITARISCATH on Twitter, or calling on Skype. Our office is at 1-406-299-9260. That will ring on the tablet right in front of me, even though that is a number in Helena, Montana. Or asking in the chat box on the YouTube page of this video that you're currently watching. Another 15 minutes of questions, and then that will be the end of our session. So this is for questions and answers. There's been some good ones, but ask away any other questions you might have, because this is the first time we've ever done a live question and answer. It's the second time. We did one this morning. And we're doing it today because it's the 4th anniversary of Father Jacques Harmel's martyrdom by 2 jihadis. Regarding Montana, Veronica Rose, I was contacted this spring in February by a man in Montana who has 20 young men who would like to train with us and join our order. And I told him I'm very willing to take them and start the course this year. That was before the lockdown broke out. However, we need the investment to do it. And I said, if you can raise the investment, we'll give you all the expertise. And I have not heard from him because he has not done it. So there are a lot of young men in Montana willing to join our order. Catholic youth who'd like to start a career in security and defense. But my hands are tied. I'm a Franciscan monk. I gave all my money to the poor when I was a young man, so I can't provide the capital. It's you, our listeners, and our followers on social media who are asking to pledge or buy our stock. Ordo Militaris Radio TV, that's AJ Bauman, director there of the radio station. I encourage you to listen to Ordo Militaris Radio TV. Asks what other veterans from different countries can join. So a veteran from any country around the world can join our order, and by making a pledge or becoming a volunteer. Until we're active in his country, he can volunteer in several ways. He can promote knowledge of the order. He can recruit others to make monthly pledges. He can work to found a private military corporation in his own country or security company in his own country that espouses the same ideals and promotes activity and is allied with our North American corporation. So he can do many things in his own country if he has the willingness and know-how. We actually have maybe around 300 military veterans around the world who'd like to work with us, but they're poor and they need a salary to work with us. So even though they're asking much less than most American vets ask, just to give you an idea, most American vets who are special ops are paid $120,000 to $250,000 a year for the work. Okay, we couldn't even hire one of them for half a year. Okay, because we don't have the capital yet. But our veterans from the French Foreign Legion are willing to work for us for $36,000 a year. So a much more reasonable price. As military trainers, and they'd be excellent trainers. And there's a lot of young men willing to get trained with us and serve with us on the basis of a 12-month course, a 12-week course for free, and 2 years service to our corporation, likewise for free. And that would be an excellent way to help, but we can't do it until we have a training base. So we keep telling people this is what they didn't do. Now, so in the meantime, is AJ and I been doing? We've been organizing the sale of small little items like the flag you see behind me, or bumper stickers or T-shirts, to raise a small amount of capital. So with the hope that we have enough to do publicity or begin to spread the word more effectively than just what he and I can do by ourselves, because AJ and I have been working at this free for 4 years. Neither of us have taken a salary, and we've been saving all the pennies that we can save, we can do. So there are many ways veterans can serve with us from other countries. From Twitter, we have a question from Astrid Maria. Did you say something about the Dems or someone wanting to exterminate a sixth of the population? Do you mean the population reduction agenda? No, what I mean to say is Marxists, when they take over countries, aim to exterminate their political opposition. And if you look at the history of Marxism around the world, it generally is about 1/6 of the population. In Russia, it was 40 million people. In China, it was 60 million people. It wasn't a sixth in China. It could have been higher, but it's probably been higher if you add the abortions in China on top of it. In Cambodia, it was more than a sixth of the people, and even in Cuba, tens of thousands were put to death. It's pretty clear, I mean, it's pretty obvious if you watch the news, that the Democrats want to kill Republicans, and they want license to kill Republicans. They even made a TV program about one day of the year when you could do anything you want and kill everyone. And that's what they're hoping to do. So wake up and smell the coffee. Your Democratic neighbor will come and shoot you in the head the day he knows that the police will let him do it. Okay? Don't imagine otherwise. These people are absolutely whacked out psychopaths. They don't believe in reality anymore. Their politics is their religion, their God, and their reality. Killing you means nothing, and for them it's a benefit because they don't want someone to remind them of God, reality, or morality. And the fact that you have a Bible, they consider a threat. That's why they don't want you to own a gun. Because they want to be able to kill you with impunity. They don't want to risk being shot when they go to kill you. They want to disarm you because they've already intended to kill you. And that's why they oppose gun rights. Okay? So you now add 2 and 2 and see that it equals 4. Wake up and smell the coffee. So that's why we have to train large numbers of American civilians to defend themselves. Because when the communist revolution comes, or when they come back to power, they're going to start killing people en masse. Because they're going to allow Black Lives Matter and Antifa to go through the cities killing and burning everything. And the police is going to stand by and do nothing, as they have already done in many cities. So that's what I meant, Astrid. Thank you for the question. If you have other questions, go ahead and ask. 11 more minutes for this question and answer period. You can ask a question by tweeting to MILITARISCATH on Twitter, or by calling via Skype our offices in Helena, Montana at 1-406-299-9260, and that call will be redirected to the tablet in front of me here, though I am currently in Rome. Or you can put your question in the chat box of this video on its YouTube page. Those are the 3 ways you can ask a question. You must ask a question in English. I'm responding only in English. Veronica Rose asks, and our bishops, can we depend on their fighting for us? Veronica, if any bishop fought for you, I would consider it an absolute miracle. No, in most cases, they would probably bless the people that are slitting your throat or shooting you in the head. Because the bishops in the United States are clearly all Marxist. Even the best of them, Strickland, said that illegal immigrants should be respected in their humanity and allowed to come in. So none of them are worth anything except Bishop Cressida, who's 98 and is too weak to do anything of that sort. But, so no, don't expect them. Most of them all are absolutely addicted to sodomy or pedophilia. They're so morally and theologically depraved, I wouldn't give them a penny anymore. But they're certainly not going to come to your defense, okay? And they all have banned, none of their newspapers will allow us to advertise, and that was 4 years ago. And that kind of surprised me then, but now I realize who they are and why they don't want that. And so if you have a question, there's 9 more minutes. This is your last chance to ask question live, although we might do this session again in the future. We wanted to create more rapport with our social media filers. Maybe we'll do it on a weekly basis, I don't know, because there's a lot more guys who might know about us if we advance and do an advance announcement. But today is the 4th anniversary of the martyrdom of Father Jacques Harmel, and it was the occasion of his death that led to the founding of our order, and that's why we're doing this double session live question and answer. 8 minutes left. If you have a question, ask a question. Please make our order known to military vets, police vets in your part of the world, and all Catholics and Christians who want to defend Christians, and especially to those who are capable financially to making a monthly pledge or investing with us or volunteering and serving with us. Because in our military and security affairs, we will have qualified military personnel running those operations. I'm a Franciscan brother. I will not run a training program in military arts or anything of the kind because I'm a monk. I know nothing about that. We will appoint qualified people to do that. And that's why we need qualified people as volunteers in those affairs too. If you have a question, ask a question. There's 8 minutes left. There's 12 of you out there, but you're allowing Veronica Rose to ask all the questions, her and Lisa Polanski. So, the others of you, you must have a question, no? I can't understand why watch the video if you don't have a question or want to learn something. And if you want to ask anonymously, call our phone at 1-406 299-9260. Otherwise, ask with your Twitter account on Twitter by tweeting to Militaris Cath, or leave a chat box. Okay. AJ, if you can still hear me, put a message in the chat box there on YouTube and see if it comes through, because I think my app just broke down. Thank you. Okay, I have to renew my app a little off air just for a brief second. Okay, I'm back. There was a little problem with the app. I had to renew the transmission. So, WazedTD asks, Good Sunday, Brother Alexis. What do you know of the church in Canada that it's dead? This is about Ordo Militaris Catholicus. I'm not answering questions about the church in Canada. This is about our military order, how to join, invest, or volunteer. Thank you, however, for the question. Michael Ahern, the current price of the share is, okay, so our shares are a private offering. A private offering means they don't trade on the stock market and they don't change in value. Okay, they're sold at $1,000 a share. And if you ever sell your share to anyone else, you sell it for $1,000. If the corporation would ever buy it back, it'd be $1,000. We use the value of that share to calculate dividend paid in the years that we paid dividend. In past years, we paid dividend because we are organized in a state where we can pay dividend from our assets, not just our income. And we do that so that our investors get a return on their investment, and we would use their investments in business operations that generate an income. So they're $1,000 a share. There's a small fee for processing. I think it's $25 for each time you purchase. So if you bought 4 shares, it's still $25. But if you bought 1 share, it's $25. And you can go to ordo-militaris.us, go to the tab for invest, go to choose either the Y series, which is for building a camp in the United States, or our T series is for founding security companies in other countries, and download a prospectus. You have to register to download a prospectus. It's only 1 penny, but that makes sure that our prospectus only goes to real people and not to hackers around the world. You can see in that prospectus a picture of what our shares of our stock looks like. It's decorated with an image of the Crusaders. And that prospectus explains all the details, basic details of our stock offering. Any other questions? 3 more minutes in our session here. I will add, Michael Hearn, that the greatest way you can help us right now is encourage people to buy our stock, because we cannot do anything without stock, okay? Even a small base would cost $1 million with just some basic things, as anyone knows who buys a house, okay? Property is not cheap today, even in remote areas, but we need at least $5 million to start a base and do it right. And because we want to buy at least 9 square miles of land, okay, in a remote part of the United States. And so that requires a fair amount of capital. And that's why we're selling the stock. It's not money that will go to me or AJ or anyone. It will go in capital investments, as it says in the prospectus. It will go in buying property, building the buildings, because our men who train there will need housing and bathrooms and kitchen facilities, and some office space for administration, and some place to store equipment or vehicles. So, although most of their training will be outdoors, because we want them to get inured to the seasons. I want to talk about one investment possibility that is unique, and we proposed several years ago. No one has taken us up on that, and that is to become a paladin in our order. And a paladin in our order is a very special class reserved only to those who invest in our corporation at a level of 500,000 or more. And basically, what a paladin or order would be is someone who invests a large amount of money in our order so that we can, for example, buy, if we were going to found a subsidiary in Europe, we'd most likely do it in Switzerland. So let's say we have someone who wants to become a paladin knight and he has 10 million. So we'd make a contractual arrangement with him where he would invest his money with our corporation North America. We'd use it to invest in Switzerland. And there in Switzerland, we would buy a castle or a large estate. And as a dividend on his investment, he could live there for the rest of his life, free room and board. And that would be and he would be the paladin of that commandery, because we call our bases commanderies. And that's a special thing we can offer those who want to be paladin knights in our order. Veronica Rose, in Florida, if we found a security company, land would be good. But mostly speaking, there are not large tracts of land for available in Florida, and Florida real estate is extremely expensive. Also, because Florida is subtropical, and if we're going to train our men in subtropical, it's a lot cheaper to build a base in Brazil, or in the Congo, or in some other part of the world where you could buy oodles of land for far less than in Florida. So. Also, because we cannot train men in military skills in Florida. There's only 8 states in the United States where you can train men in military skills, and that is Hawaii, Alaska, Montana, North Dakota, if I remember correctly, Iowa, Indiana, Ohio, Vermont, and Delaware. And most of those states are too small to have land. Usually only Alaska is too cold. Hawaii doesn't have the land available. So it basically is North Dakota and Montana is where we could do it. But Florida, as you notice, is not one of those states. Many states in the South forbid this kind of things because they changed the laws after the Civil War to prevent the resurgency of the Confederacy. And so they outlaw things like that. So all throughout the former Confederacy, these things are outlawed. Whereas actually Montana, every male able-bodied citizen is actually already, by the Constitution, a member of the state militia and is supposed to assist the state if Montana would ever be invaded, because it has a very long border with Canada. Okay, so an hour has come and an hour has gone. That is the end of this live question and answer conference for Ordo Militaris Catholicus. I thank you for participating, and I ask you to share this video with anyone asking questions about us who would like to learn more, so that we can recruit more volunteers, attract more monthly pledges of those who would like to be members of our order, and most importantly of all, acquire the investments necessary to help defend Christians around the world and help defend our fellow Americans in the United States. God bless, and thank you for participating in this live conference.